So this is a setup video for the JGS 880 or the JGS 980. We start off with first opening the arms and putting the bottle next to the actual centering tool of the bottle guide. With that, we're just making sure the height is just under or just on the center point, but we're using the outside of it as a guide. So this will allow you just to get the height without damaging the bottle. Once you've done that, you're just going to tension up the bottom guide bolts to make sure they don't slip anymore, and also making sure that when you drop the actual plate, that's no longer a concern. So now what we're going to do is we're going to turn the machine on, drop it down a little bit further, put the bottle in, and just guide these to a point in the middle somewhere. We're not going to tighten the bolts yet. We're merely going to just guide it and get it to a point where we feel it's in the center. So here we can see we're loosening the bolts. It's getting to a comfortable center point. Putting it there, we're putting in the guide plate at the neck so it doesn't move or wobble. And now we're going to slowly take it up and manually take it to the center point. You don't want to run it full because you could find that maybe the bottle isn't right, isn't center, and again, you could damage the bottle. So we manually turn it up just to allow it to get to the highest point again. And again, checking to make sure that this is in the center. Once we found the center point and the height is what we regard as correct, we then tighten these bolts on either side. You do not need to tighten them overly tight. They just need to be locked, that the bottle is comfortably held in its position. We check the actual threading units now. We're going to slowly pull the bolts inwards that it just touches on the neck. These are the two that are at the highest point, not the lowest point, the highest two. And we move them in left, right, and left, right, and we go left to right until we slowly get it to cut. As it starts to cut, we move it in a circular motion to ensure that it starts to make the threading on the bottle. We don't want to over thread. We just want to have them threading that they creates a groove in the bottle and allows for movement. Once we know that this is actually doing that and we feel comfortable at this point, we then lock the top bolt and we're going to lock the bottom bolt to secure it permanently. Now this should have allowed you to set the upper points for the threading. We now move over to the lower two. The lower two is for your physical locking part of the bottle. This one is the same motion. What we're going to do is we're going to first ensure that the bottles is lined up in the middle, and we're going to eventually just slowly turn them with the bolts loosening to allow them to line up with the physical bottom part of the lock threading. So we're going to move these ones up and slowly move them in the same way as we do with the upper ones, that they start to create a groove in the aluminium, allowing it to press into the bottle and actually lock under the neck of the bottle. Slowly we're doing this. Once we found the comfortable point, we're going to tighten the edges on both sides, slowly moving them inwards until they firmly start to actually make a crimp in the bottle. Once we find the position, again, we're going to lock the top, we're going to lock the bottom, and we're going to ensure that the bottle is firmly in there. We're going to repeat the process on the other side, again, allowing the top and the bottom to hit a situation where it is just comfortably locking into the bottom part of the bottle. We don't want to over tighten it, and we don't want to cut into the bottle. We just want it to press and create an indentation that allows it to press into the glass with the aluminium locking into its place. Once we've found that, again, we're going to lock the top and we're going to lock the bottom. When you've done this, you've almost finished your setting on the unit. We're now going to lock the top bolts to ensure that this doesn't move while we're running. A quick nip at the top on all four bolts just to make sure that they're all in their correct position should allow you to ensure that this is now locked more permanently. At this point, I would just do a quick check. If you go up and down, you should find that it does a beautiful cut and seal, and you'll see if you check the bottle, the neck looks good. And that is how you set up the JG8.